Hi everyone, thanks for coming. I know it's late, so thank you for still sticking around. My name is Joy. I'm a strategic partner manager based here in the London office at Facebook. I'm on our games partnerships team. We work with developers all across EMEA to integrate with our platforms and help them succeed. And today I'm sharing the latest on instant games with you. Here's a clicker. See if that works. Yes, cool. So before I dive right into instant games and only talk about that, I wanted to take a step back and talk to you a bit about the mission of gaming and Facebook in general. And that's the mission of our team and our adjacent sales teams and product teams and marketing teams. And that is really to build the world's community for people to play, watch, and share games. We already have a massive community of players on our platforms. We currently have more than 800 million people playing a Facebook-connected game every month. And so we are trying to give these people experiences wherever they are. So we do that on mobile with our login and friend-finding tools. We do that on desktop with our game room client. And we also now do that very cross-functionally and cross-platform with instant games. And that's what we're going to focus on. So out of curiosity, who here plays instant games? Okay, that's a lot. And who here, let's say, has looked into instant games, even if you're not like a passionate player, but you know what I'm talking about? Pretty much everyone. Okay, that's good. So for those of you who don't know, instant games is the latest addition to our gaming platforms and really is a way for people to play HTML5 games quickly and frictionlessly on Messenger and on Facebook. So here's a quick video on how that actually looks.
Instant games.
This guy versus is Nana in Pac-Man.
You little.
Jeez, Nana.
This guy versus his friend from friend versus helping up roommates in the woods with friends frenzy.
You know how to spell loser?
You know how to spell jerk face?
Well, technically, that is not even a word.
How do you say burn in French?
This guy versus his new lady friend in Everwing. Victory.
Want to be my girlfriend?
Yeah, totally!
With so many games, you can connect and compete against your friends, family, anyone really. Play on players.
So I think that's the easier way of explaining to you what instant games is and how they work rather than me wiggling around here. The beauty about instant games really is about friends playing together and about making that social and making instant games part of the experience and of the conversation that users have in Messenger threads. So really the idea behind instant games came from the scale that we already have on our platforms. We currently have more than 1.3 billion people on Messenger every month and more than 2 billion people on Facebook. And with that, the amount of users that we can connect and engage through games and through you building very deep experiences on the platform is huge. So I mentioned before that these are HTML5 games, and the underlying technology of instant games is HTML5. We see web technology evolving very fast. We also see the ecosystem of developers around it evolving very fast. And what that also means is that you as developers can bring very deep and rich experiences to instant games by now. What it also means is that you can deploy your instant game very easily across all platforms, from Android to iOS to web, have the same game running, and really engage players by connecting them through the game. So it's been a year. In November, we celebrated the first birthday of instant games. Standing here and saying that it's been a year is impressive. Looking back at it, you hear us internally talking a lot about legacy SDKs and old features and looking back at everything that happened this year and what's still to come, and that's what we're going to talk about. Is very exciting. As I mentioned before, instant games is rolled out globally to all users, both in Messenger and on Facebook. We currently have more than 70 game titles live globally. I think as of today, actually, we're closer to 80. And we have users playing them all over the world. So here are a couple of games that we have seen come to the platform over the last couple of years, over the last year. So we've seen classic arcade titles like Tetris being revisited for the platform. We've seen completely new inventions like Golden Boot by Nordeus come to the platform. And they're all very different. And we see very different games succeed on the platform. Tetris, for example, everybody knows Tetris and has played Tetris in some sort of shape or form. And Tetris is a single-player game on the platform, but with a very dynamic leaderboard makes it very easy for users to engage and to play together to see who's better than you and who's not as good and who you want to challenge. Nordeus and Golden Boot took a bit of a different stance. They opted for a synchronous multiplayer game. So really, it's a head-to-head battle in real time against your friends. You compete for a score in a 1-minute match. And then lastly, I want to call out Battleship, built by Cool Games, which opted for an async game. And really what they have done is thought a lot about how does the game enhance the conversation. And that is where turn-based becomes very interesting, as reminding players when it is their turn and when their friend made their turn really becomes a part of the messenger thread that you have. And there's a lot of more games coming. Together with our 1-year anniversary, we announced a lot of new titles coming to the platform. Sega Sonic is currently being built, so is Disney's Tsum Tsum and Gung Ho's Puzzles and Dragons. All of these games are really being revisited from the ground up with the new intention of making them work in a messenger and thread-based gaming platform. And so over the last year, we've listened a lot. We've listened a lot to our beta partners who we've been working with very closely. And really, they have pushed us and focused us on what is most important to make this platform a success. And this mainly evolved around these 4 pillars: discovery, virality, re-engagement, and monetization, which I think for most game developers makes sense. And also for us, it makes sense that these are the most important pillars. And that's what we're going to dive into a bit more. So first off, discovery. It is obviously in the first step very important that users can actually easily discover the games. Just as easy as it is to start an instant game, it needs to be very easy to actually find the instant game. And so over the last year, we've introduced a lot of new discovery surfaces, and we've enhanced the ones that we already had and really took a deeper dive into how we can make them more effective. So first up is our Games tab. For those of you who don't know, the Games tab sits in the main Messenger navigation. There's a Games icon you can click on, and really, the Games tab is the one-stop shop for everything instant games. From games that you're already playing, to suggested games, to new releases, and games you're playing with your friends, all of it can be found in the Games tab. We also have game pages. So I mentioned before that instant games live both in Facebook and in Messenger, and that is where game pages become very important. I assume that everybody knows the idea of a Facebook page in general, and that is exactly what we are leveraging here. Every instant game has a page connected to it. And as a developer, really think about this page as the home of your instant game and the place for you to build a community around your game. So here's an example of Everwing and Everwing's official page. At the very top of that page, if I as a user land on it, I see an instant games unit. I can tab on that unit, and once I tab on it, Everwing opens up, the game opens up, I can play, and I can from there share out the game to my friends. And then next up is deep links. We introduced deep links very late last year, mainly as a way for US developers to start finding audiences relevant to your instant games outside of our own platform, so outside of Facebook and outside of Messenger. You can take these deep links, you can post them, and you can share them wherever you think that it's relevant for users. What Everwing does here is they embedded it on their website, and this is the mobile landing page. As I tab on that Play Now button, the deep link is embedded behind that. Messenger opens up, Everwing opens up, and once again, I'm in the middle of the experience. And then lastly, but definitely not least, are in-thread updates. I said before how Messenger and instant games is all about enhancing conversations and the game really becoming part of a Messenger thread. And that's where in-thread updates come in. So what happens here is my friend Jason challenges me for a game of 8-ball pool on instant games. The game automatically creates this in-thread update, which says, Joy, Jason has challenged you for a match of 8-ball pool. This becomes part of our Messenger conversation. I can tab on it and find myself in the challenge that Jason here challenged me to. So once again, it's a very high intent surface, and it really is extremely useful in that social context. So an example I want to call out here is Battleship from Cool Games. Like I said before, they really thought about how they can enhance this and make this part of the conversation. And in-thread updates really are a very big discovery surface. So new users join the platform mainly because their friends play, because they see their friends play, because their friends invite or challenge them or ask them for help. And this is exactly what Cool Games here is making use of, with 47% of sessions being started from these in-thread updates. So it really is a very useful discovery surface, and one that is very high intent and very social. It's only been a year. There's a lot more to come on discovery. Here's a bit of a sneak peek of what's about to come. We are building a newsfeed ad unit, very similar to what you are used to from our mobile app install ad units. The user is going to see it on newsfeed, can instantly tab on it, the game opens up, and from there on they can share it out. That's going to come in the next couple of months. I mentioned before that the Games tab is kind of the one-stop shop for everything instant games. That also means that there are a lot of games on there. And so we are working a lot on enhancing this ranking and this algorithm to really make it more personalized. And there are two things feeding into this. One is more game-specific data. How does the game perform? How does it retain? What does virality look like? And also user-specific data. Which games did the user enjoy playing? Which games do their friends play? To really factor that in and really make it more personalized. And lastly, we're also working on cross-promotion between games. We have a lot of developers who already have more than one game on the platform, and really we want to allow you as developers to leverage the audiences you have built in separate instant games and allow you to cross-promote those. So that's a bit on discovery. So there are various ways how users can actually find instant games. And then from there, obviously, it's all about virality and it's all about sharing that out. The ease of sharing achievements and of nudging friends and of reminding friends and of challenging and collaborating with friends also means that the platform lends itself very nicely to creating virality amongst users. Over the last year, we've worked a lot on giving developers more control of the in-game experiences, the start and the end screen, to really make sure that this sharing and inviting flow can very easily be embedded into any game. So with virality, we have created a set of APIs that we collectively call rich gameplay features. We announced these at F8 last year and have enhanced them since. A very big part of this is sharing. Facebook games have always been social. They haven't necessarily been social by policy. They have been social because we always aim to make it very easy to create these social loops. And so a big part of that is sharing. What happens here, I think the video already played, but what happens here is I play Everwing and I hatch a legendary egg and out comes the dragon Koki. And with one tab, I can very easily share that in Messenger to a single friend or to a group of friends, or I can share it on newsfeed to all of my friends, which then lands on my profile so they can easily join in. Another very important part of this is inviting and challenging friends. What happens here is I play Everwing, and as I play, I achieve a new score, and Everwing prompts me to challenge a friend and to share that score. This overlay pops up, which is ranked by your most recent interactions with friends and your groups. And then by tapping on play here, once again, this in-thread update is generated, becoming part of the Messenger conversation. So with virality, we took a look at how do users retain when they play in a social context. And what we really see here is, of users who enter a game on day 0, the ones that retain best are the ones that actually play with their friends. So users who play in activated threads, which means a thread where more than 2 people are active and playing, or in one-to-one threads where each user plays back, those users are 2 to 3 times more attentive than users who play solo. We took a step even further down and looked at how do users behave that play in more than one thread and with more than one friend. So these users are up to 5 times more attentive than users who play solo or who play in a thread where their friend doesn't play back. So really making sure that not only your game has these viral and social loops, but that your game really makes use of it in a very socially relevant way. That is really the core to engaging more users and engaging them long term. So one example that I wanted to call out is 8-Ball Pool from Miniclip. For those of you who played 8-Ball Pool on mobile, as I assume a lot of you have, the instant game version really opts for turn-based gameplay between friends. And what 8-Ball Pool really focused on was their lobby screen. They made it very easy for a user to start more than one challenge against a friend in only one gameplay session. So what you see here is the recommended friends. I can very easily tab on it, play my first turn, and really start start challenges with 4, 5, 6 friends without ever actually leaving the game in one session alone. And with that, 8-Ball Pool now sees more than 800,000 turns being played between players per day. So the game can go viral and social, and the next part is obviously re-engagement, right? How do we get the users back into the game, and how do we make that as easy as possible? And that's where bots come in. The bots platform has been out there much longer than instant games, and when we were looking at an easy way for users to, for developers to find a channel where they can communicate at scale with their users, it was pretty much a no-brainer to connect bots to it. The bots platform is very flexible, which means it leaves you a lot of space for creativity. And the way it works at the moment is that every instant game has a bot attached to it. And this bot can proactively start messaging users after their first gameplay session. So we are thinking about it a bit like push notifications on steroids, and here are a couple of examples I want to call out. The first one, again, is Everwing. What Everwing has opted for is a very interactive bot. From their bot, I can claim rewards, and I can send my characters on new missions. And really, it's a very relevant bot in the sense of I don't actually need to go into the game. The bot actually gives me a very useful interaction. The next one is Words with Friends. Words with Friends opted for a very social bot. What happens here is really the bot only messages me when another friend started playing Words with Friends, who I have not previously played with. So here my friend Joan starts playing Words with Friends, but isn't playing with me. The bot actually sends me a message about that, and directly from the bot I can start a game with my friend Joan. And lastly, I said the bots platform is very flexible, and that's what Basketball Forever really exploited. They have built a story-based bot where I play Basketball Forever for the first time. My score sucks because I just played for the first time, and my personal coach starts reaching out to me and starts giving me missions so that I become better at the game. One example I wanted to call out here to really show how important bots and really making good use of bots is Lotem. So if you haven't played 4 Picks 1 Word on the platform, the bot hooks me in every single time, and it is the largest entry point for existing users back into the game. So it really is an amazing channel to reach back out to your users and say, hey, come back, there's actually something interesting going on. So now that you can also re-engage your users, I left the best for last, which is monetization. So out of curiosity, who knows that we rolled out video ads on instant games? Okay, that's not that many of you. That's good. So for those of you who don't know, we rolled out, together with our 1-year anniversary, we rolled out video ads, so video interstitials, and rewarded video across instant games. This is currently available globally for all users. We are slowly expanding this to more and more of our beta partners. And the great thing for scaling this is that we are making use of our own Facebook audience network, its demand and its control, so that makes it very easy. And yes, we're also testing in-app purchases. This is very early stage. We are testing this with one partner on Android at the moment. As with everything we do on the platform, we want to make sure that we understand how to best integrate this. We understand how to best make this work for users and developers before we roll this out further, so there's more to come on that. And then there's a bit on coming soon. 2 minutes, perfect. So I said it's been a year, there's a lot more coming, so here's a bit of a sneak peek. We just announced live game streaming from instant games. Users can now go live and stream their instant gameplay to their friends. They can share this into groups and into feeds and into Messenger, and there's a very interactive way of getting more users in, especially because there is a play now call to action on it for users to jump right into the game as they see the live stream. We're also experimenting with real-time communication. We know that almost 250 million users a month actually video call on Messenger, so it's a very high-intent discovery surface for games. We're currently testing this with Words with Friends, where 2 people are actually video calling. The Words with Friends icon pops up, and as they click on it, they find themselves in a real-time match of Words with Friends. This is currently live in 5 countries. Not as shiny and fancy, but also really important, instant game analytics. We are working on embedding more and more instant game-specific data into Facebook analytics, things like context session by type and context session by size, to really help you understand how your game is performing and what you need to work on. And we're also working more on bot enhancements and really making bot reporting better. And lastly, for those who put their hand up and said they're playing instant games a lot, you will have realized that all instant games are in portrait mode at the moment. That's because there was no landscape so far. We are now also making landscape mode available across all platforms and for all developers. So if you want to build a landscape game, you actually can. This is a sign-up form for the beta. It's not the most memorable link in the world, so if anybody wants to take a picture, feel free to. Looks like everybody kind of, there's still a couple of people taking a picture. All right. Cool. That's it for me. Thank you so much for listening. I don't know if we still have time for questions.
Probably got time for one question.
We have time for one question. Cool. Are there any questions on instant games that I can answer? Yes.
Well, I hope this isn't controversial. I've been playing instant games for some time now. And
Great.
I'm very excited by it, playing Angry Birds and loads of friends. Do you think there's a danger with the bots particularly that it gets quite spammy, for want of a better word? Because I'm waiting for my friend to come back and go, this plays with this plays.
Yeah.
I finally get quite a lot of messages from the bot, which isn't really anything I can act on a lot of the time. So I don't know how you're going to police that. That would be I don't know how you deal with it, really. I think that's maybe a concern. I don't know if you've seen that at all.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So in general, I mean, the platform is still in beta, and the platform is mainly still in beta because we're trying to understand and make sure that everything is scalable and not spammy, right? And so we have policies around bots and around the usage of bots. If a user doesn't interact with the bot cannot message the user anymore. We've also tried to make it very easy for users to actually disable bots when they don't want to get messaged by them at all. So we have all these things in place that we're trying to really make it useful for users and also have developers think about these channels with caution and how they can best leverage them, as they are very valuable, but they also go directly into your Messenger inbox, yes. Great. Cool.
Okay, is it a quick question? Okay, go ahead.
Once it comes out of beta, what's the barrier to entry for developers getting there?
Yeah, great question. So it's in beta right now, like I said, mainly because there's still a lot of testing going on and because we also really want to make sure that we get the developer and user experience equation right. Once it goes out of beta, the dream is that every developer can publish an instant game, right? And that's where our job on making discovery better, making bots not too spammy, all of these things are then going to fall to us as a platform.